What's up, stoners? Cewpins here, and on today's video, we are going to do another story time. I haven't done one of these in a little while, and I think it's just about time. I get a lot of requests for them and whatnot too, so I want to make sure that we're making the content you want to see. So on today's story time, we are going to talk about the first time that I ever bought weed. And I have another story of the first time that I ever smoked, or the first time I got high, which if you've seen that, it was a pretty good time. But this happened a few months after, when me and the same buddy in the story wanted to get some weed on our own. Because the first time that we were smoking in that other story was on a road trip with some friends of ours. And once we got back, we were like, man, remember when we smoked weed? That was a really good time. Let's do that again. So before I get too deep into this, I want to mention YouTube just took my monetization away. I don't know what's up. They gave it to me a couple years ago when I started doing the story times. And because I haven't done as many since. But if you want to support the channel, if you want to help your boy out in any way, just check out my other socials. Follow me on Instagram, follow my Twitch, whatever you use, just go check me out there. And that's the best way to support me for free. You don't got to send me money or send me anything. Just watch my content in other places. That helps me out and helps me grow and reach new people. Anyway, enough about YouTube and whatnot. So the first time that I bought weed I mentioned it was with the same buddy in my other story. That's my friend Matt. We used to be roommates and business partners and hang out a lot. I still talk to him from time to time, but he lives in another state, so maybe we'll get that meetup going again. But him and I lived together. We were roommates, and we wanted to get high. We were reminiscing on that road trip that we took, and we're like, man, I wish we knew somebody we could get some weed from. Because he was newer to the area. He moved from St. Louis to Florida, and as soon as he moved, we both just got a place together and we were renting. So I knew people in Florida. He didn't really know too many people, but it was kind of on me to like try to figure out where we could get to, because he just didn't know anybody. So I'm asking around. I didn't really smoke. I wasn't a stoner. I had only had a few experiences with weed before that. So I was just like, who can I hit up? Who can I ask? And I didn't know any dealers, but I eventually got in contact. One of my friends who bought weed, he had a plug. He didn't give me his plug's information. I think the guy, it was years ago. People were really sketchy about giving out plugs info and whatnot. Now people are like, share my Snapchat story. I got all these deals. Tell your friends. But years ago, people were very sketchy about, referring new people to a plug. You had to do a little bit of a feeling out process or whatever. So we just meet up with this guy, and he's basically just gonna go buy the weed for us so we don't gotta deal with the plug. And I didn't know anything about weed at the time. I didn't know amounts. I didn't know what anything cost. I had no idea. But my buddy had a little bit of experience. He kind of had an idea. So he was like, don't worry, we'll figure this out. So the guy comes over and he's like, all right, how much do you guys want? And I'll go get it for you. And like, I look at my buddy's looking at me, and he's like, how much do you think? And I'm like, I have no idea. A lot, a little, I don't know what to say. And then my buddy just looks at the guy, he's like, how about we get an ounce? And in my head, I'm like, okay. A little bag of chips you get from Subway is like 3-ounce bag. So like an ounce isn't a lot. And then I remember the guy, because we were telling him we were gonna buy it for the first time. So he knew. Kind of had like a shocked look, like, oh, you want an ounce? And it was like, why is he acting like this? Why is he weird? My friend's like, yeah, how much is that gonna cost? And don't make fun of me, guys. Please don't make fun of me. This was the first ounce I ever bought, and we didn't buy it from the plug. We got it from like a middleman situation. So he was trying to make money on top. But the first ounce, the first time we ever bought weed, or first time I ever bought weed, we spent $400 on an ounce, which is kind of a standard price for several years ago. I mean, if you break it down, that's $50 an eighth all the way down. Most of the plugs, once I got into buying weed by myself, like a few months later, most of the plugs were selling ounces for like $240 to $320, and most people were on the $320 end. So I'm assuming this guy probably got an ounce for $320 and made $80 profit off of it. It's no big deal. But I remember he went out and got the weed and comes back, and it's like a bag full of weed. I didn't know what an ounce was at the time, so I was surprised to see a bag full of weed. And he's holding up, it's one of those sandwich bags that you like flip and fold over. Not the zipper bags. The zipper bags are the only bags. The other bags are a disgrace to storage in general. Like, I don't understand who came out with the little flipper bags. This cat is going nuts. But the little sandwich flipper bag, I remember seeing that and going, did we really just spend $400 and get the shittiest bag that you can get for the weed? I remember, like, my first thought about the bag of weed was like, wow, that's a full bag. And then, oh, it's one of those fucking shitty bags I would never buy in my life. And dude hands us an ounce, and he didn't even want to smoke with us. It was like, I don't know if he was in a hurry or something. We didn't have any pipes or any papers or anything. Like, we were like hoping maybe he'd bring us something to smoke with. He just drops the ounce off and leaves. So we're just, I'm allergic to my cat just a little bit. So we're just sitting there with a bag full of weed on the table, like all excited, looking at each other like, all right, what do we do? And I had no idea. I'm like, do we get papers? I've seen them at the gas station or whatever. When we smoked the other time on our road trip, we used a Gatorade bottle gravity bong, and we'd smoke blunts. So in my head, I'm like, do we need to go get some Gatorade? Do we need to go buy some Swishers or whatever? So we started looking up some stuff online, and we found a head shop not too far away. Cat hair is literally getting me. So we started looking online, and we ended up finding a head shop that was like not too far away. I'd never been in a head shop before, so this was also an experience. And this was back at the time. In some places, you still can't say bong in the bong store. It's called a water pipe. They're all weird about it. You got to know all the hush hush rules and what to say. And I didn't know at the time. We walked in and they're like, "How can I help you?" And I'm like, "We just bought an ounce of weed and we're looking for a pipe to smoke it with." And the owner's like looking around like, "Shh! Oh my God, you said weed." I'm like, oh, chill, bro, chill. And they like pointed at the signs like, everything is for tobacco use. Don't say the B word or whatever. Bong. I'm like, I have no idea what any of this means. I'm like in a store that has all these secret hush hush rules. I just gotta know. And I'm like, we just want to buy something to use. What do you got? And I didn't know anything. We're just looking at rack after rack of pipes. Later, kitty. Oof. I literally have to go wash the cat hair off my face or I'm gonna sneeze for the rest. So we're in the pipe store. I have no idea what I'm looking at. There's case after case full of hand pipes, dry pipes, bongs, some vaporizers, all kind of stuff. I literally have no idea what anything is. So I'm just like kind of leaning on my buddy for a little support. He's like, what should we get? I don't know. And he's just looking at these metal pipes with the little, the little metal pipes with the screw top. I call them trucker pipes. I have no idea where I got the name from. Maybe it's from that day. But he's like, hey, maybe should we get one of those? It's metal, it won't break. So the clerk overheard us talking about the metal pipe and said something about most people use glass, but if you have trouble breaking stuff, then maybe the metal one is more important. So kind of from that, we started looking at the glass ones, and I just was looking at which one looked the coolest. I have no idea what was going to be better, what was going to hit harder. I'm not thinking about functionality. I'm not thinking about the quality of my hits or anything. I'm just like, which one is the coolest? I'm going to smoke weed out of it later. And we ended up settling on this. It was like a 4-inch orange, like regular spoon pipe, but it had like a glass chameleon on it. It was a black chameleon. I remember the pipe looked so cool. It was orange with a little black lizard on top of it. And it was just like super dope. I remember like we were both stoked on it because of the lizard. I don't know. Like that's the one, bro. It's like $60 for like a shitty little 4-inch pipe or whatever. I didn't know that we probably wanted to get a bong or probably wanted to get a couple of options. So we just ended up getting this one pipe and taking it home. So we're sitting at home. We didn't get a grinder. We didn't get papers. We just have this little spoon pipe and we're just ready, bro. We were so ready to smoke and get high. So my buddy starts breaking it up with his hands or whatever and packing it into the bowl. Probably not doing like the best job. I don't even remember. Like we were so stoked on getting high again because we hadn't done it in a few months. And we're just like sitting there like with the packed wall, like looking at each other like, oh my God, dude, this is gonna be sick. You know, it was just like, there was like a buildup of excitement. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so ready. And then my friend looks at me, he's like, you got a lighter? Bro, we didn't get a lighter at the head shop. We didn't get a lighter. I didn't smoke cigarettes or anything. I never smoked weed before. I didn't own a lighter. I couldn't think of like, is there even a lighter in the house? Like, I'm checking drawers and shit. You know how sometimes you open the drawer and there's one of those like really long grill lighters and you're like, I don't remember buying this. Like, we're looking for anything. There's nothing in the house. No matches, nothing, dude. So we just go right to the gas station down the street, and we're like, maybe we should buy some munchies while we're here, which is always a good idea. Buy your munchies first, because you never know. You buy your munchies after you get high, you're going to spend too much money. And that's facts. But we got our munchies, we get our lighter, we go back, and like, we just start chiefing this bowl. Like, I think one little bowl pack, we probably hit it like 6 times before we cleared. I'm taking little baby hits like, oh my God, my lung. And we're just going back and forth and back and forth and just getting absolutely blitzed. And I remember looking at the bowl and trying to hit it, and it's not lighting anymore. And I'm like, oh, something's wrong, dude. My friend's like, oh, it's your turn to pack it again, dude. Do you remember packing your first bowl? Do you remember? I didn't have a lighter. I didn't even watch when he packed it, so I had no idea what I was doing. I just remember sitting there looking at this bag of weed and looking at this bowl and knowing that I wanted one of those nugs in the bowl somehow. And I'm so blitzed at this point. I'm just like trying to figure out how do I get this to work? So like, I'm just like fumbling around for like a few minutes. And then my buddy sees me like putting a whole nug in there into the bowl, and he's like, no, you gotta break it up into small pieces. So I'm like, yeah, obviously. That's what I was just about to do, dude. You're so high right now saying weird stuff. So I just start breaking up the weed, and we seriously just smoked and smoked and smoked. And we both worked online at the time. We were roommates and business partners, and we were just running a website. So we didn't have any schedule we had to follow. I didn't have to be anywhere, anytime. So we basically just for days smoked out of this bag of weed, this fucking shitty flip fold sandwich. I don't even know if the weed was good. I can't even remember, but there was nugs in there. It wasn't a bag of shake. I remember getting a bag of nice nugs because I remember breaking up a few of them. But we just smoked for days. I think it took like 4 days before we finished it, which is kind of a lot. An ounce in 4 days between 2 people. But we were seriously just like smoking like every chance we were packing another. And my buddy was like, I'm so high, dude, but do you think we should try to smoke another? We were just watching TV and playing video games for days and just like a whole hotboxed house. It was like such a good time. It was like a weed vacation. One of the first experiences I had with like smoking regularly, and it was just such a good time. I wish I could do something like that again, but you know, tolerance and responsibilities as you get older. I don't have the ability to just like smoke for 4 days and not worry if I did any of my daily tasks or not. I don't have the ability to do that anymore. So this was like a really good time. And we started, you know, shopping a little bit regularly. We figured out a couple plugs after then, and we weren't buying $400 ounces anymore. I'm so stoked on that time of my life. That was like the first time I ever bought weed, or I didn't buy it on my own. It was me and my buddy. But the first time I didn't just like smoke somebody else's weed, you know. We threw down on it. We had a bag of weed and we went through the whole stash in a few days. It was like a really good time. But I don't know. I don't really know how to wrap the story up. It's just like I transitioned into smoking pretty regularly after that. And ultimately it turned into me making content and videos about it. So it was a very, very very cool time in my life to think back on the first times buying weed and going into a head shop. And now the way I look at it, now I go into a store and I'm mad when they run out of the options that I like, or I don't know. There's customer service involved now. There's just a whole different world when it comes to buying weed and smoking it. So it was pretty cool to buy it before it was legal and kind of have that experience that in 10 years people might not get to have anymore. I mean, it's mostly like There's a lot of sketchy plugs and stuff out there, but it was still fun. I've heard a lot of people say weed was more fun when it was illegal, and you know, there's some truth to that. People like to do things behind the scenes, underground, breaking the rule, you know, that kind of stuff. But if you like watching this video, if you like my story time, leave me a comment below. Let me know that you like this story, what you liked about it. I don't know, just engage with the video. That's what helps more people see it. When you like the video and you comment on it, YouTube goes, you know what? I'm gonna show somebody else this video. Maybe a bunch of motherfuckers, I don't know. But if you don't subscribe, definitely do that for me. And please, check out my other socials, check out my Twitch. YouTube is really weird. They took my monetization away. They've been age restricting almost all of my videos. So it's getting really hard to grow on here, but we're gonna try that out with the story time. So I appreciate everybody chilling, and I appreciate everybody hanging out, and I hope you have a super lit day.